Thomas and Friends has had quite an array of characters, especially after season 5 where they ditched the bookstores and began writing their own more often than usual. Of course, with Thomas's longevity, a lot of it has to do with the toys selling really well. I mean, some of the large wooden railway pieces were fun. I remember I had the Rusty and the Boulder set, which is always fun to play with. And it was just fun to collect the engines themselves like they were freaking Pokemon. Some of the newer characters from the CG era are okay. I think the best one they ever written was Hero, the Japanese steam locomotive based on the D-51s. I particularly like Connor, but that's only because his basis is on that of a New York Central streamlined J3 Hudson. But there was one character that I was obsessed with growing up. And he wasn't a main, nor was he a good guy. His whole character, at least around this time, was a straight-up bad dude. I am, of course, talking about Diesel 10.
Old McDiesel had a plan. You've captured the real me. I mean, that's beautiful. I could cry.
Boss, yeah, we're here.
What makes Diesel 10 so fascinating to me, besides his aesthetic looks of this big badass mammoth of destruction with a hydraulic death machine perched atop his roof, and his snarling voice with a Jersey accent provided by Neil Crone in Thomas and the Magic Railroad,
Help you?
is that he literally comes out of freaking nowhere. There was a book that was made. It was a very short, storied picture book called Diesel 10 Means Trouble, and it only explains that he was brought from the mainland to help out on the railway. And that's really it. He was brought in from the mainland, he ends up being a big bully, and he gets sent away. And that was it. There was no other explanation other than that. And the number one thing that I always found fascinating is because Thomas has always established that there are drivers for the engines in the show. And they're there to provide some kind of control over the sentient locomotives. But Diesel 10, who the hell is driving him? I mean, whoever it is never seen on screen, but they established that he does have a driver because of a little clear spot on his front window where it looks like someone was using the wiper blades to wipe away any grime, so whoever's in that cab can see where the hell they're going. So, who the hell is driving him? Just a fun little piece of trivia here. Diesel 10's original voice in Thomas and the Magic Railroad was provided by Keith Scott, who gave off this dastardly British James Bond villain-like voice, and I kind of wish it was him that got the chance to voice him, but he was deemed too scary.
Aha! The blue puffball! And just look who else I found! Splodge! Get up here and destroy!
Along comes Neil Crone, who was just playing Splatter and Dodge and Gordon in the movie, and he happened to improvise a goofy Russian accent in the sound booth, and Britt Allcroft loved it so much that she decided to use it, but executives and test audiences thought it was too offensive. So that was scrapped, and we now have the New Jersey accented Diesel 10 that we grew up with.
Cranky, worn-out hunks of metal who couldn't hurt a fly.
But he did a sample of this Russian voice on a podcast recently, and I love the way it sounds, and I kind of wish it stuck to the movie.
You know, he talked like that all the time, and he was always talking to Pinchy, his crane on top. And he used to get really upset with Pinchy. Stop that! What do you think you're doing?
Another interesting thing that was removed from Thomas and the Magic Railroad, and this was really deemed to be too scary, is that Diesel 10 was supposed to die at the ending, drowning in sludge. And you could see by this concept art of how nightmarish a sequence like that would be. But in all honesty, it reminds me of a lot of Disney villain deaths, especially the one of Scar from The Lion King. But this is a really fucking creepy image. I can only imagine what it would have looked like in the actual movie had it been implemented. We can only speculate from now. So, getting back to the original question, who the hell is controlling Diesel 10? Just who the hell is driving him? There's a few theories, mainly fan theories, that I've found online. I will read some now. Some of them are plausible, and others are just, well, left up to speculation, because all it is just speculation, right? So, theory number 1 states that Diesel 10 is driven by artificial intelligence. Yeah, an AI, and the AI made him into a villain. Maybe he's run by Skynet, you know, the AI that tried to erase humanity in the Terminator movies. It kind of makes sense, especially the way Diesel 10 interacts with his claw. His claw Pinchy seems to have a mind of its own sometimes, but usually ends up causing humiliating scenarios for Diesel 10, making him look like a clumsy klutz than an intimidating villain.
Now that's gonna ruin my facial.
Theory 2 is that he's driven by an evil scrap merchant. A lot of fans speculate Diesel 10 worked at a scrapyard on the mainland.
He was used for rail maintenance around the island, but he loved hanging out at the smelters, crunching scrap ready to be melted down.
That's why he's been implemented with an illegal modification of a crane and claw to him. The claw is used for crunching up scrap to be smelted down for loading trucks full of it, and also could be used for murdering sentient steam engines for their metal, and his driver controlling him does so all of this for the sake of profit for the scrap metal. It's really dark, but that kind of makes sense. Theory 3 is that he's the only independent locomotive on Sodor. He makes his own decisions, he's in complete control of himself with no driver, and is just an entity of pure evil in the Thomas universe alone. An angel of death, if you will. The demise of steam locomotives and steam in general. For the future of dieselization. Steam locomotives get scrapped and they get torn apart by this guy. Yeah. Oh, hold the phone for a second. What is this here? In this picture. Let me enhance this a little bit. I'm gonna zoom in. And we'll zoom in again. And we'll zoom in again. No! Joking aside, imagine if that was headcanon, that the Fat Controller was the one in the driver's seat the whole time. Up front, he's the stern but caring savior of steam locomotives, while also murdering them with a nightmarish diesel and a hydraulic claw. That would be pretty funny. I think what I like best is not knowing, because some things are just better left unexplained. It adds to the depth and keeps people guessing. And I doubt that there will be any confirmation from one of the crew members or writers as to what they would have thought of if they had to reveal a driver for Diesel 10. Sometimes the unknown is just all the more fascinating.
That won't have much use for you looking like that.